We got Christmas to celebrate, but we're celebrating ADRA's first bestowing of life membership to two very special people, among many, Sir Lawrence Street and Micheline Dewdney. And to start off the event, Michelle Brenner is going to interview them about the history of their experience.
In mediation, of course.
However, if you want to embellish.
I shall be the perfect gentleman.
Okay, well that actually is a good start, because I think there is a great privilege in being here today for all of us, and to be able to be so close to the two of you in this way, that we can have this conversation that can draw out some of the qualities and perhaps the stories that are so uniquely connected to your lives, that have such ramifications and ripples throughout the mediation community for not just our generation, but for generations to come. So if I could sort of put out the questions, and then the two of you take them on and see where we go with that. Is that all right? That's fine. Okay, so what excites you about the mediation world that has brought you so close for so long? Do you want me to start?
Well, the fact that it's so sensible and so normal, and people can be themselves and they can make their own decisions with our facilitation, but nevertheless, that's what they can do. That's what I like about it.
But I sincerely believe that there is a moral validity and a social value in promoting a consensual approach to conflict right across the board. And mediation and the underlying philosophy of consensus epitomizes what to me is that great human virtue. And I suppose I'm being arrogant, but Micheline and I can be arrogant tonight. This is our night. But that to me, it's I spent years of judging, saying you've won and you've lost, and I now talk about the courts as the abattoirs, not in the hearing of my erstwhile colleagues, I may say, but somebody loses in courts, and that began to get to me in the end, and I realized, look, this is dreadful. We're destroying the people. Courts are places of broken hearts and broken dreams and broken hopes, broken fortunes, broken reputations, and I thought there must be a better way for us to handle conflict. And that's the sort of the inspiration, and I've found that inspiration was sort of a pie in the sky. And then I found wonderful people like Micheline who said, hey, we can make this happen. And with the enthusiasm that Micheline has injected into this social evolution, I think we are making it happen. And I'm very proud to be sharing the evening with Micheline. I've been very proud to be a colleague of hers in the ADRA. That was a very early initiative of Micheline's, and we've travelled a long road together. And I won't say we had long nights together, but we've travelled
My husband's in Washington at the moment.
we're both still young.
Can I take this opportunity, Micheline? You spoke a little bit about the human part of mediation and what it was that drew you into it. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about that and maybe give us some stories or something that a bit further elaborates on that side of things that you can see.
Right. Well, I was a social worker before I did law, and so there are certain things that are in common with that. And I also was on the Mental Health Review Tribunal, and I found that mediation skills are extremely useful when you're making a decision for people. And I just love being able to give people the opportunity to make their own decisions. That's the sort of thing I like in mediation, very much indeed.
Just to elaborate a bit further,
Yeah.
you talked a little bit about the differences, about the diversity, that there's so much. Can you a little bit talk about
What
that?
do you mean, the diversity in mediation or the...
No, what
no.
you experienced in the mediations. You talked about...
Oh, yes. Well, another thing I like about it, and that's why I'm still in it after 21 years, 22 years, I've forgotten now, that is that every mediation is different because people are different. And I really love that. And I don't really mind whether they come to a resolution or not, because I have found that the lack of research means that we don't know, one, whether the agreement lasts, two, whether the agreement doesn't, and if the agreement doesn't last, whether they come to an agreement a little later. And this is something that I believe that the ADR people, incidentally I don't like the term alternative, let me tell you, I hate it, because in fact we're involved in dispute resolution, the courts are not. They are not involved in resolution of disputes. They're involved in determination of disputes.
Yes.
And therefore, we
Yeah.
should not say we're an alternative. We should just say we get involved in dispute resolution.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Yeah.
Um,
Can I have a go there? I can't
yes,
resist
can I,
this.
yes. Can I also ask you, while you're also adding on to what Michelin said, can I also ask you about, you talked about broken dreams and
Broken hearts.
Broken hearts, yes. Can I ask you then what it is that you see in your experience, what has kept you passionate and so committed, that you see happen? So they're not broken dreams. What is it that is happening that you notice?
Well, I'll answer that first, then I'll go on to my hobby horse. What I find so intensely rewarding personally is that you start off the day with two people who are at loggerheads. And as often as not, they're at loggerheads because they haven't stopped to recognise, hey, there's another side to this coin. Somebody else sees this dispute differently. I've got to understand why they see it differently. And as you move them through the hours ahead, they start to develop an objective approach, and then at the end of the day, you get a deal. And that's enormously personally fulfilling for me. And it's that motivates me to keep going. The adrenaline rush as you're within reach of a deal, until some wretched lawyer intrudes and says, "Look, hang on. We want a warranty of title," or some wretched thing. But now, to come back, if I may, for a moment to the resolution aspect, I was a judge for nearly 25 years. And I often say when I'm starting mediation, I never resolved a single dispute in that time. I decided thousands, hundreds, whatever. But if you'd gone up to somebody who'd lost a case in front of me, and that could be broadly half the people who came before me, said, "Oh, well, the judge resolved that dispute," you'd get a few fruity four-letter words from them about what they think of the judge and everybody else. Judges don't resolve disputes. They're not appointed to resolve disputes. They're appointed to judge. That's why we call them judges. They're resourced as judges. The whole focus is on the wonderfully finely honed adversarial conflict of the courtroom. I don't denigrate it for a moment. It's a magnificent way of enabling the parties to join issue and to have a contest in which there's an impartial decider. But that's not resolving their dispute. It's addressing it, but not resolving it. We have to have something to address disputes in our society. In every society there has to be a sovereign presence who will address the dispute and decide it, but it's not resolved. And from the point of view of the big mechanisms of state, if you've decided a dispute, it's off the agenda. Somebody can go away weeping and heartbroken or whatever. Their dispute's been decided. They've had their day, whatever. Mediation is totally different. You're looking at resolving it. You're healing that potentially broken heart or broken reputation or broken hope or whatever. And that's the enormously rewarding thing from my point of view, the personal fulfillment of resolving disputes. And I get very angry when I talk about courts as dispute resolving mechanisms. Of course they're not. I agree with wholeheartedly.